on ISABA for Posterity. Here we go. We're talking about building support, building power and voice with Black businesses today. ESNDC updates. We have Claire Thomas from ESNDC, who's our presenter. We've got a lot of fantastic and good-looking Eastsiders on the call today, so you all can just be feeling like we're warming it up out there as best we can, just with our big smiles and and our blood flow. That's about all we can propose here for February. It's wild for sure. We're going to do a little who's who on the call. Thank our annual sponsors as well, and then would invite you to just drop a greeting to the meeting in the chat with your name, contact information, and organization, so that we can keep up with you, and so that anyone who's new can also kind of start to put names and faces together for some networking. So we're also going to have a police update this morning. We've got Senior Commander Kurt Hallstrom with us today, so we'll get to that here in just a minute. Appreciate his time and having him on the call. I'm going to do that kind of at the top of the show. But before we do, let's go ahead and thank some ISABA sponsors. And I'll do a screen share, and then I'll also hand this off to you, Claire, too, so that you can be our screen sharing host when it's time to do that. But here, I'm excited to share this with you. So ISABA is celebrating 30 years this year. So you see our new 30-year logo down in the lower left-hand corner. Yay, we survived. So come along this year. We're going to be doing lots of fun stuff to energize the East Side and celebrate 30 years of work on the East Side with ISABA, along with these annual sponsors: Ideal Printers, DB Creative, Harrington Langer and Associates, State Farm, and the Office of Juan Cervantes State Farm, the Sane Foundation, M Health Fairview and Ladine Law, St. Paul Federal Credit Union, the St. Paul Port Authority, Highway Credit Union, who has a new logo and a new name this year, so take note, Metropolitan State University, Sunrise Banks, and Walters Recycling and Refuse. And I can just welcome and acknowledge some of our sponsors that are on the call. Tanya Bauer from the St. Paul Port Authority, Lori Seaver from the St. Paul Port Authority. Glad to have you on the call, and the sponsors of ISABA. So welcome. And ISABA board members. I think it's just Tanya right now. Oh no, Shatika. Oh, Shatika was here. We lost Shatika. Oh no. Okay, Tanya Bauer, welcome to the party. She and I are kind of hosting you on behalf of ISABA. She'll do most of the good looking and I'll do most of the big talking. So anyway, there you go. That's how we'll spread it out today. Let's meet some of you. So if you run an East Side, so pop on your camera if you can here, if you're not on already. And let's do some just connecting briefly. I'm kind of waiting for Jack and Rachel, but we don't have to wait. It's good. So if you run an East Side small business, do we have East Side small business owners on the call today? Wave if you run a small business. I don't see any East Side small business owners. Patrick, would you say your business is a business?
Yeah, independent contractor, sure.
Yeah, there you go.
As a realtor.
So yeah, Patrick Rubel, realtor, lives across the street from Darren Varley. No Darren today. What happened to Darren? You just yell at him out the window.
It's too cold.
It's too cold to open your window to yell at Darren. That's true too. Anyway, welcome, Patrick. If you are a part of an East Side nonprofit, give us a wave here. So there we've got Kayla from East Side Elders, Jean from Cornerstone Montessori, Claire from ESNDC, Ben Warner at the East Side Freedom Library and the East Side Housing Justice Group, Andrea at Family Values for Life. Did I miss anybody? Rachel? Rachel is applauding. Rachel from the East Side Employment Exchange. Jack from Catalyst. Fantastic. Okay, good. Wow, we are nonprofit strong. If you are a part of a governmental entity, called Ramsey County, give us a wave. There's Rick. Hi, Rick. We're glad to have you on the show. Maybe later in the second half of the show, we'll do an update on what you're hearing, Rick, and what you're kind of finding on the East Side right now. And then I saw Lori wave. That's the governmental, private, non-private partnership called the St. Paul Port Authority. There's Lori and Tanya. Always love that classification. If you are, serving our community as the senior commander of the East Side, go ahead and give us a wave. That's Senior Commander Kurt Hallstrom. And I'm eager to hand things over to him, but everybody, you're doing a great job, folks, of dropping your information in the chat. Go ahead and do that if you haven't. And Representative Jay Shong is also coming on. Representative Shong, fantastic, and happy to have you on the show too. There he is, hi. Representative Shum, thanks for taking some time here in the middle of session. Holy cow. Great to have you on the show. We just did a brief round of introductions, but you'll see our names and contact information in the chat. And if you want to put your name and contact info in the chat, Representative Shum, that'd be great too. Okay, so we were just about to hand things over to Senior Commander Kurt Hallstrom. Senior Commander, give us the brief rundown. And you just mentioned something that's happening in the legislature too at the top of the hour. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been in discussion and conversation and cooperation with Senator Marty about a catalytic converter bill that they're working on. And we had a press conference, and I just said a few words today, but just to give you a little idea of what the bill is going to do. Over the last couple of years, they've focused on the recycling places to keep records and logs of where they got the catalytic converters. But once a catalytic converter is removed from the car and it's taken away from the general area where the car was, it's almost impossible for us to trace it back to where that catalytic converter was stolen. So we're finding that we're stopping a lot of cars that'll have catalytic converters in the back seats, in the trunks, people with piles of them in their yards, et cetera, et cetera. But if we can't prove to where it came from and where it was stolen from, there's nothing that we can charge them with. And that's consistent from county to county, state to state, across the nation. If you saw the newspaper article yesterday, palladium, which is in the catalytic converters, and I can't remember what the other metal is, but it's about 12 times the price of gold right now. So there's a serious issue. So the bill that he is working on and presenting is going to make it a misdemeanor to be in possession of a catalytic converter that you can't verify proof of ownership on, whether it's a picture of it on the car, picture of it taken off the car, and then proof of ownership that you owned that car. So it's going to really help the police kind of attack where the real problem is. It's not the scrappers that are, taking our old cars and smashing them down and recycling the metal so they can become a shiny new car. It's these people that are rolling around all over at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, cutting off these catalytic converters with these fancy lithium ion grinders and cutoff wheels. So it takes no time to cut one off and be gone. And so we're hoping that this bill will get passed, and come August, we will have another tool to address these catalytic converter thefts. Can give you also a little bit of information. I'm sure everybody has seen the news and following the carjackings and the auto thefts and the other bad things that are going on. We're finding that the primary suspects are very, very young men, typically, and they're we're working on a plan to address that, and working with Minneapolis and Hennepin County and Ramsey County and State Patrol. And it's not just a St. Paul or Minneapolis issue, it's a metro-wide issue. And, I hesitant to call it a task force at this time, but it might be something that develops down the road. But we're doing everything we can to, safely apprehend and bring these individuals into custody so we can curtail this violent carjacking epidemic that we're facing. And again, that's not just I looked at Washington, D.C. is putting together a task force. So it's not a St. Paul or Minneapolis problem. It's nationwide, and result of a lot of things is what's going on there. But other than that, the East officers are doing well. Had a very violent January here in the Eastern District, and the officers are now just starting to, decompress on some of those calls that they had to go to. So hopefully we don't have any more of those. Ever is what if I had my wish, but at least in the near future anywhere. So
thanks, Senior Commander.
About all I got. We're ramping up for the trial that's going to start in April.
Nice.
March.
Yeah. ISABA is also working on, and Senior Commander, you know this, but we're working with a group of East Side businesses and community members who were active during civil unrest to help the East Side, kind of do response. to come together and talk about some tools that could help businesses this time. Like what do we need to do to prepare? What's what should be on our checklist and what should be on our resource list for reaching out to just get ready in case we see signs of civil unrest coming too. And one of the things that's been mentioned is the city's notification system. You've mentioned this, Senior Commander. And so ISABA members and friends on the call will be talking about what some of those resources are, including this notification that the city sends out in situations where there are emergencies. Am I kind of nailing that right, Commander?
Yeah, it's called, I think you're talking about the Everbridge notification system.
I think so. I mean,
Something like
I don't
that.
think the police don't have a separate one, right? I mean, this is a
No,
city thing.
It'll come from like it'll look like it's coming from Ramsey County. But
Okay.
yeah, if you get enrolled in that and the city sends out notifications, you'll get notified, and it's the same system that I think that they use to send out snow emergencies and things like that. So, yep, you got the right people on that chat when that comes along, and you'll be in good hands with that.
Terrific. Thanks, Senior Commander. Are there questions for Senior Commander Hallstrom or things you're seeing on your side of the east side that you want to ask about?
So are you expecting unrest to occur around the trial over here?
Boy, I wish I had an answer for you. I think that was Ben that asked that question.
Ben, yeah.
People have asked what we're doing to prepare, and we're preparing based upon what we saw in May and June and what we've seen around the country. I think that we have to assume that we're going to see unrest and potential crim damage and or attempts at looting. We're doing our best to prepare to address those things. We need cooperation from the business owners to try to harden their stuff when it gets close. I would love to say that my heart wants to believe that we won't have that again in my career, which is only 6 years. So I'm hoping it goes a lot long. My son is also a parking enforcement officer and hopes to be a St. Paul police officer someday. So I'm hoping and praying that he, in his 25, 30-year career after I am gone, also doesn't have to experience that, because that was that was not good. But we're certainly preparing for that and hoping that we don't have to use any of our training.
Thanks, Commander. Thanks for the question, Ben. Any other questions or things part of what we want to do with ISABA is make an opportunity to build a good relationship with our Senior Commander in the Eastern District. So thanks for your questions. And, Senior Commander, thanks for dropping your phone number there in the chat too.
Yeah.
Always great to have
I'll
you
stay on. If you have any questions or want to reach out to me, it might take me a while to get back on, but I'm going to just have the audio on. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
That sounds good. Yeah. As usual, everyone, if there are questions, drop them in the chat, and Senior Commander will work on getting them to you as we go through the show. All right. We've had a few folks join. Shatika from Family Values for Life is back. Hi, Shatika. Welcome back. And did I miss anybody? Anybody else that's on? Oh, Chelsea. Hi, Chelsea. Yes, fantastic. Another ISABA board member. Chelsea 5 from Visit St. Paul. So glad to see you, Chelsea. Representative Jay Shang is with us today, and Representative Shang, just want to give you a second to say hi to everybody and thank you for your work on behalf of kind of the District 1 part of District 1 and District 2 parts of the East Side.
Well, thank you, Pierce. I want to thank all of you for having me here today. Unfortunately, I can't stay long. It's my lunchtime, so I'm just hopping in to see how everyone's doing. I have not had an opportunity to join several of your conversations due to the craziness here at the legislature, but just want you all to know that we are working very hard to ensure that our neighborhood is safe, and also we're trying to help our local businesses on the east side. And so next week, just want to give you all a heads up in the Capital Investment Committee, which I sit on. We are working on a bill to try to bring some funds to help the businesses that were impacted based on the conversations we were talking about earlier about the civil unrest. And so it is my hope that we can get some sort of bipartisan support to get some funding to come in. And my contact information, I already typed in there. You all have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me I might not be able to get right back to you right away because I do get hundreds of emails a day, but I promise you I will get back to you.
Thanks so much, Representative. And I'll drop this in the chat too, that Capital Investment Committee next week impacted businesses and civil unrest. It was something we could be watching for. And we'll be just delighted to have you back anytime you can drop in, connect with us, meet with us, listen in. And today I'm excited to introduce Claire Thomas from ESNDC, the Eastside Neighborhood Development Company, who's going to talk a little bit about general updates for ESNDC and what's coming down for the East Side this week, Claire, holy cow. You know, the condensed weeks we live in called years, and more especially the work that she's doing to build power and voice with Black businesses and the network ways that we can help support that, and or, you know, the other collaboration ways that we can help support that good work. So Claire, welcome to the show. I've made you the host. So, oh, and I think that is Rebecca Nelson chiming in, the new president of the District 4 Community Council and resident East Side Food Queen. We're always happy to have Rebecca back on the program. Rebecca, welcome to the party. Okay, so I just turned it over to you, Claire. I'm going to get out of the way.
Okay, sounds great. I'm really excited to be here, everyone, and be talking about what we have brewing over at Eastside Neighborhood Development Company. I will start sharing my screen. One sec. Okay. That's not the right thing. One sec. Sorry. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, which screen is everyone seeing right now? Are you seeing the PowerPoint?
We are seeing the PowerPoint, and it's in kind of, yes, you're ready to turn it into a slideshow. It's in, there you go.
Awesome. Okay, so we have, our goal at Eastside Neighborhood Development Company is to support commercial development and small businesses on the East Side. And so as a part of that, we're trying to have a renewed focus on supporting BIPOC businesses, more specifically African-American, Black-owned businesses on the East Side. And this was a project that was started about 2 years ago, so before I was with Eastside Neighborhood Development Company, but I think there's really been a renewed vigor and enthusiasm around this project because of the effects that we've seen with the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll give you a little bit of background on the project. It's going to be a working capital loan fund for Black-owned businesses. And I'll go into some of the logic behind why we want to have a financial product and tool specifically for Black-owned businesses, and then kind of talk about what we want that product to entail. So some of the reasons that we are wanting to create this product specifically for Black-owned businesses are because we're seeing these lending disparities, specifically in Minnesota, between who is getting access to capital and who's not. So in a 2015 study done at the University of Minnesota, they found very clearly that there was discriminatory lending practices that were still applied at banks. So this is something that we think of happening maybe decades ago, but this is still an active practice, and it's not just people getting denied because of socioeconomic factors like their income levels or their credit scores, which we know also have different impacts depending on what community you're from. But we're also seeing, on top of those eliminating factors, we're seeing discrimination based on race as well. So we're seeing that BIPOC folks are having their loan applications rejected at much higher levels. And our logic is that working within these typical boundaries will always mean coming up short in achieving our goals. That's something that's said in the black paper that we reference that I can put in the chat later if anybody's interested in learning more. And so we're really wanting to come up with a new system, a new product that circumvents these institutions and systems that we know disproportionately disadvantage our BIPOC business owners. And we've seen this exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think we're all aware that health-wise, the impacts have been much more harsh on our Black and brown communities, but we've also seen this in our business communities. So half of the Black-owned businesses in Minnesota have either closed permanently or temporarily during the pandemic, and nationwide that's at 41%. And a big part of that is because of this lack of access to working capital. So there were issues before the pandemic, Black-owned businesses having less capital to work with, having a harder time being able to get access through these lending institutions, not having a generational wealth to fall back on when your business runs into trouble. So we're seeing all of these issues being exacerbated by the pandemic that we're experiencing right now. So our objective is to create a working capital loan fund that is specifically targeted towards small Black-owned businesses on the east side of St. Paul. And that would be with flexible capital. So for startups and existing businesses, something that we're seeing right now in financial products that are available for Black-owned businesses is that it's geared towards capital improvements, which is the case for our organization too. We have funds available if people want to get their building up to code, or if they want new signage or want to improve the face of their building, but maybe don't have funds if they're wanting to buy that building, or if they got a SAC charge from the city that they just can't afford. Or something we see disproportionately affecting Black-owned businesses is they put a lot of their business charges on their credit cards. There's no funding available to pay off that credit card. So we're really trying to create this financial flexible product that specifically targets the financial hurdles that we're seeing occur within the Black business community. So a key to that is making sure that this is really flexible money because they're unique challenges. We're also partnering with Aurora St. Anthony Neighborhood Development Corporation, and they're in the Rondo community. They have wonderful experience working with entrepreneurs in the Rondo area, and they are bringing that expertise to the east side. So they're going to be providing one-on-one coaching, financial coaching to entrepreneurs. And then also teaching relationship building to the business owners so they can optimize those relationships between those business owners as well. There's going to be debt counseling to help with their credit score and general financial well-being. So that could be business-wise or personal financing. And then some tools for debt consolidation. And we're hoping that this product will, in that fourth point, open access to working capital, networking information and sharing, technological assistance and training, accessing government contracts, and general resources for small businesses where a lot of Black-owned businesses can tend to be disconnected. There is definitely, I think, a sentiment both on the east side and generally, I think, in a lot of African-American business communities that there's this feeling of exclusion or being left behind, and we want to create something that is not only inclusive, but specifically targeted at this community to make sure that there is a resource, but also a network component, which I'll get into a little later. And then there's also going to be tools for marketing and then for referrals for other kind of financial resources. And then I'll talk about the structure of the revolving loan fund. So this is what the working capital loan fund, what the structure will be. So it means that we'll be financing one business, and then as those payments come in, we can use that money to issue new loans. And these loans are going to be really low interest, so making this a hopefully more desirable product than ones that people could get from the banks or payday loans, things that are kind of predatory. So we want to make sure that this is a product that there's a pull on the financial part as well. And so this will be a self-replenishing pool because people will be paying money back in as they're repaying their loans, and we can issue new loans off of that. We're also going to be adding in an incentive, so people are hopefully going to be paying off their loans on time. That's the goal. And based on research, there's really good results with people paying back these loans. So we're hoping to incentivize this with saying that you get like automatic pre-approval if you pay back your loan, and that way people know that they can continue to access that capital. And so the purpose of this is really to, like I said earlier, create a completely separate and new pool of money and completely eliminating these institutions and systems where borrowers may face these systemic barriers. So that's the structure of the loan itself, and where we're at right now with this, as we are starting to have, sorry, I can stop sharing my screen. That's everything about the loan, but I can kind of tell you more about where we're at with that process. We are starting to put on working groups. We actually had our first one this morning and it went really well. I'm very excited about it. So we had a group of Black business owners from the East Side who were willing and able to share what their financial experiences had been, either when they were starting their business or as they've been trying to grow, and the specific challenges that they faced during COVID. And so we have 2 more of those conversations that we definitely have scheduled. The more businesses that we connect with on the East Side, hopefully the more conversations we can have. But even the conversation this morning, we're learning new things about ways that this money should be flexible. Marketing wasn't really on our radar. We were thinking that would be more something we could connect business owners to resources, but we're understanding that based on the conversation this morning, that business owners are spending a ton of money just paying for marketing. So now we're understanding that that's maybe a way that the money needs to be flexible enough for people to use that towards marketing as well. And so we were hoping further down the line there would be a networking component with this as well. So we have the financial product, but there's also a specific space carved out for Black-owned businesses on the East Side. And actually, wonderfully enough, during the conversation this morning, a few of the business owners took it upon themselves. They're going to be creating a Facebook group. So it seems like without any kind of nonprofit push, they are already on it. So I'm very excited about that. And so, yeah, we're applying for funding right now and hoping that this will be happening in the near future, because we're definitely hearing a need. So that is the project that we're working on at ESNDC right now. And if anybody in the community knows any businesses that would be interested in being involved, particularly ones that maybe are operating as a pop-up or operating out of their homes or mainly online, those are the businesses that we're having a little bit harder time connecting with. Been able to connect to quite a few, but definitely the more the merrier. So yeah, that's kind of the community ask, but that is the update with what we're doing. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts, I would definitely welcome that.
Great. Yes. Drop questions in the chat or go ahead and just, wave, and let's get some questions for Claire here. Claire, I want you to just, if you don't mind, I was looking at the chat a second ago, but to see if there were questions posted. Will you re-articulate the community ask there, reaching out and connecting to some specific industry and modes of business, like your pop-up, your cottage industry, your food truck, your some folks that are where you haven't been able to go track down a phone number yet. Did I catch that? Did I hear that right?
Yes, definitely. So we've been able to connect with pretty much all of the brick and mortar Black-owned businesses on the East Side, but It's a little bit harder to track down people that may be operating out of their homes or they have an online presence, but there's no real way to tell if they're operating that online business from their home. So if anyone is aware through your business connections in the community, that would be great. I'm seeing Ben write in about Eddie at Cook with burnt chicken. I have been trying to connect with him and would really love to connect. I think I just need to probably pop by there. I've been trying to email and call. But
so we had Bernard's from Burnt Chicken. His email, I think I've gotten his name right. Bernard. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. We had his email address and he's got an active Facebook presence. Have you? I'm sure you're working on kind of tracking him down. But yeah. Cool.
That's been the tough part, is kind of connecting with everybody. So luckily through our other events at ESNDC, like the Solidarity Street Gallery this summer, I was able to make a lot of connections beforehand. So I've definitely been heavily relying on those, but I'm really trying to make new connections. So if anyone in the community is able to act as a connector, that would be wonderful. I know, Paris, you've already been doing that quite a bit, which is wonderful. So thank you.
I hope some of our folks, including, like I had a really constructive conversation with William Schultz, who's on our board, about things he thought would be helpful in terms of part of what ISABA does is position business owners to talk about ways that they've made connections or been successful. In other words, like people talking with each other about things they've learned and ways they've figured things out. And William came up with like 5 or 6 topics that he thought would be fun to convene people around to support Black businesses in particular. But I haven't had a chance, and he's not on the call right now, to follow up about that. I hope that William has connected with you. Have you gotten a chance to connect with William?
Yeah, we had a great one-on-one, and then he was also on the call this morning. And
Oh,
really
good. Cool.
It was a great, just like conversation starter. He had lots of ideas. He was a wonderful person to have on the call. So thank you for that.
Good. Oh, totally good. So, you know, this is a part of my, I see some other folks. Lori dropped in. Please share the group's Facebook information once it's set up. You know, Isaba is trying to also help folks position to do marketing on Facebook too. So if it's, you know, if some of what's going on that Facebook group is, hey, we want to get the word out in a broader way across the East Side about things we have to offer, you know, we'd love to bounce around in that domain. And maybe that's, I don't, you know, again, like, do entrepreneurs want a group where they're talking to themselves, or do they want a group where that's kind of a megaphone? If you'd help us kind of understand some of what's wanted there, you know, I think we could help be the megaphone part of that, and also connect new entrepreneurs to it, you know.
Yeah, I think that would be great. It sounded like, based on the conversation this morning, I think they're hoping that it's going to be a group where entrepreneurs can connect to one another and have that space to do that. But hopefully that's something that could grow and expand in the future, particularly when we have the ability to have in-person meetings again. I created a group in St. Louis at my previous job, pretty similar to this, and we had in-person meetings, but also had resources come in. So people from different organizations come in and say, we have this funding for this, or these are the tools we have for social media and marketing. And I think that's kind of our vision for the future. But that would be when it's safe to have in-person meetings again. But just excited to have those, at least online spaces, going at this point.
Totally good, Claire. And, you know, it kind of positions, you know, my question. And also I see in the chat, Jean offered, you know, Cornerstone as a community, and also, you know, as a community charter school, and, you know, taps into our community, would be happy to be you see her offer there, you know, another megaphone point to kind of offer and advertise. Claire, would you want to follow up on that? Or sorry.
It would be wonderful. I'll look for your contact info at the intros in the beginning, and I'll shoot you an email. Thank you so much.
Yep, sounds good. One of the questions that I have for Isaba is, you know, how can we prioritize the entrepreneurial ecosystem that we've started kind of talking about doing in a better way? And DeJoy has been kind of bringing up this concept that is in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, that where we densely connect our networks and help support this work. I think we want to think about in what ways can Isaba provide dense networking support to Black businesses, and ways that we can be supportive of the work that you're doing, Claire. So, you know, in addition to the conversations that you and I've had and the connections we've made, please do reach back to us with these kinds of asks. You know, the tracking down cottage online and businesses and pop-up businesses, let's just make that a priority. You know, like, we can make that a priority for some of the asks in our network. Are there other ways that Isaba can work on prioritizing dense networking support for Black businesses? I open that question up to everyone, but Claire, to you first.
I think there probably are. I think at this point, we're early on in those conversations. So I'm hoping that once we have these 3 group meetings, we'll have a better idea of what the ask is from those business owners directly for that networking space. Like, I think right now I have ideas on my own, but I think I would like that to be validated and then affirmed by those business owners before running with ideas about how we can create more of a networking presence. But I would say probably in the next 2 weeks, I'll have a clear idea on that. But I love that this is a priority for you and Isaba, and hopefully other people have ideas for connecting, because this is really, it's been a learning process for us too. So would love to hear everyone's input.
That's great. Thanks, Claire, for that too. We've got some other folks who are joining just now, or had joined in the last couple minutes. Darren Varley, Lindsay Schmidt from Delwood Gardens, Darren from DB Creative. I guess, Patrick, you did open your window, and maybe you threw something in Darren's window there. Darren, glad to have you on the show. Jorge from Sunray BP. Hi, everybody. And then someone who's chimed in at 651-353-3454. Is that somebody's, who's that?
Hey, it's Hussein with BD.
Hey, Hussein, how are you? Fantastic. We're glad you're here. Good to hear from you. And Councilmember Jane Prince, actually, as well. Hi, Jane. Councilmember Prince. So terrific. So we've just heard from Claire, and it seems like there are lots of good priorities that she's working on, kind of learning more, that kind of learning step. But she's got a very particular product in mind, this revolving loan fund for operating capital, for which is totally great. And I bet that is causing kind of a lightning strike in entrepreneurs' experience, and especially in Black business owners' experience. It sounds like you've gotten good traction on that and is exploring other things that would help support Black businesses. And we were just kind of beginning to talk about what are some other ideas that this network has for ways that we could get alongside. And it sounds like, listen, it's going to be the first one. Like Claire's doing a little bit more work in that listening domain. And that's our hope too, to listen then and understand kind of what's needed. Other thoughts or questions? I see there are a couple other things in the chat, but anyone else want to jump in here and ask a question or make an offer or connect in this space? Let me check the chat here and just say Center for Economic, Rachel brings up the Center for Economic Inclusion, which has a bunch of things going this month actually, which is totally cool. Through their website, to order from local BIPOC owned restaurants could be a great place to connect some of that free marketing. Yeah, I looked there for the businesses that they had, not many of which are on the east side. I mean, it seems like there's an interest in making some connections to some of these other places that are speaking in this space, for sure. All right. Well, so you'll see that one of my around the Zooms was supporting the network with Black businesses. Who do you know or what do you know that could help build this network? So that's what I want to leave you thinking about as we move into a space for some more conversation, but also a space for some announcements. So, like we're still learning what is needed, but I'm asking you in terms of your network brain, who do you know or what do you know that could help build support for this work? Thoughts about that? Share them in the chat. Claire drops in the link. Claire, you've dropped in a link to something.
I was just writing a description. This is the link for the Black paper, which is also referred to as, the long name is the Twin Cities African American Financial Capabilities. So this gives a little bit more information about the background of our working capital loan and just general information about why there's a need for this in the Twin Cities.
And that sounds like, it looks like that's a live link that I can just share. I'd love to talk about that in our newsletter coming up and ask this question, same questions for Isaba, like, who do you know? What do you know? That you think could help support this.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, if that's a welcome question. I think what we can do is start pulling things forward and have some folks at the front of their seat when you've got some better ideas too about, or the group is kind of, the groups are always forming and storming a little bit here, around like, what do we want? Who do we want to help? Who do we want to invite into this network? These kinds of questions that we can just start looking in our network to see what ways we can support. Yeah, Lori.
I was thinking between city, county, port people, and other brokers, that there is a good network if some of these pop-up businesses are actually looking for a bricks and mortar space, that there would be connections for that in the future for them.
Nice. I also see some info in the chat, Claire, that I hope you'll just pick up too as we kind of roll toward the end. Connected with Eastside Funders. Jack said he just had a conversation with Aaron over at the Eastside Funders group and the Bush Foundation. They're looking for transformative ideas to build community wealth. Hey, Jack, I think you just found her funder. When you're ready to walk down the street, Jack, I think you and Claire should talk. Go ahead, Claire.
Oh yeah, that's actually, we've been having conversations with Eastside Funders, and that's I think where we're hoping that the funding will come from. So we're really trying to fine tune that ask right now. I think we have the overall concept down, but we're really trying to get to the meat of that. why is this important specifically to the East Side, drawing on those experiences from the businesses we're connecting to. But yeah, so thank you, Jack. That's definitely in the same line of thought right now, but we're feeling hopeful about that because I truly believe that this could be very transformative, especially when we're talking about creating generational wealth. These are funds that people could potentially use to buy their own business, things that really have these lingering effects too that can pass from generation to generation. So I think we have high aspirations for this. So I'm hopeful.
That's great, terrific. Councilmember Prince also mentions visiting many of the Black businesses on the East Side. Councilmember, one of the things that Claire asked us for was connection to businesses that might be cottage industries or online or pop-ups, kind of less the brick and mortar. Claire feels like, if I'm putting words in your mouth here, but that she's connected pretty well with the Black businesses that are in brick and mortar. You can find a sense of how to connect with some folks that are not on the corridors, Jane.
Mm-hmm. I can sure keep my eyes open and eyes and ears and help however I can.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you. And I think also, like, we have a good working list of all of the businesses that have brick and mortar locations, but I don't have working relationships with all of those businesses. So particularly Arcade, I think that's one. Arcade and East 7th, those are areas where I'm hoping to make more of those personal connections. So if you or anybody in the group has those, I think
Sure. I'd be happy to. I made some good connections up on Arcade, and I've been working with a couple of the businesses. So I'd love to do that, Claire.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
And then you know that Sir Boxing Gym is in the process of purchasing a building. So they're but you probably have connected with them.
Yeah, and they're going to be in one of these working groups that we're putting together. But yeah, I've been talking a lot with Georgia Fort. She's been really great with getting some of these wheels going in my head. Just, yeah.
So I have a question for Family Values for Life in the midst of this. We've got Shatika and Andrea on, and I know that one of the Jumpstart components for your program is financial health or financial health. But I wonder if you have folks who have entrepreneurial aspirations or things that are launching in your programs where you see some of these, possibilities, like these are entrepreneurs that may be at this micro entrepreneur stage who are ready to do something and kind of get something going that kind of identifies some of those businesses that are at a different stage of development. Do you ever see that?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of folks in our programs who come in with dreams and just kind of need the know-how to get there. In one of our ISABA community meetings, we met an entrepreneur who I believe was she started or has a couple of, is it Dick's Barbecue? Do you remember her?
Yeah, Wendy, her name is Wendy Reno. It was Dickie's Barbecue Pit.
Dickie's Barbecue.
And that was around the Sunray. Go ahead, Shatika.
Right. And we were connecting with her to do some classes for us prior to all of this. And we really want to connect with her again on that. We do a workforce component of our programming, and entrepreneurship is a space that we really want to dig into because we have a lot of folks who need that. We need some help with educating them and then helping them get things started.
That's terrific, Shatika. So that it sounds like there's a nice connection there. And I know, Andrea, you're the Jumpstart, you work with Jumpstart program. And thank you for both being on. I know you've also got virtual tea and women's conference coming up that, we'll be bringing some people together to do some networking. Let's move into announcements here. I'd love to have you go with that in just a second. It looks like there's a question for Claire from Rachel. Rachel, you want to just ask your question and then we'll move to announcements and we'll go to Jumpstart.
I can, but Claire, I see your message back. I was just asking if, since this is a revolving loan fund, and the program has a purpose around building credit score and financial assets for the entrepreneurs. I was just asking if the loan payments will be reported to the credit bureaus to help build credit scores as well for the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and my understanding is that we would. I want to double check on that, but I'm like 95% positive.
Awesome. And then I was just adding that if you have like a PDF or a postcard of just asking for entrepreneurs to reach out to you, I'm happy to share with our exchange members, because I know they work with a lot of families, and I'm sure there's entrepreneurs both within the families and within the communities that folks are connected to. So I can get the word out through those partners.
Yeah, that'd be great. I currently don't have a graphic for that, but I'll work on that because I think that would be a great thing to have on hand. So I will get that to you as soon as I make one. Thanks.
Awesome. Or if you have a social media post, I can blast it on our Facebook page too to get out.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
It sounds like that would be a good tool too for Family Values for Life, say, when you're connecting with folks who you think would be good entrepreneurial connections, that kind of thing. Yes. Yeah. Ben also mentioned the McKnight Foundation, Vibrant Equitable Communities Grant. So this is timely and right on target, it seems. Lindsay Schmidt has a comment as well, following up with her owners to see if they have any insider resources. Thanks for being on today, Lindsay. She has to jump off. Okay, let's do a round. Thank you so much, Claire. This is so fantastic. It's great work, and it's wonderful to kind of just get around somebody who's got some passion and energy around this awesome project. So thanks for being on today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and thank you everyone for your input. It's just great to hear everyone's thoughts, and yeah, I'm excited to bring all these to the table as we're developing this. So thanks.
Okay, so in terms of some announcements, I've got some to post in the chat here. You'll see. Oh, let's start with Family Values for Life, and then we'll come back to chili and cheesecake. Since we've got Rebecca and Kayla on too. Andrea or Shatika, one of you want to tell us about the upcoming?
Well, Andrea, she's doing
nice silent Zoom communication there. Go on.
Andrea is our Jumpstart coordinator, and she is coordinating this tea, doing an amazing job. So I'd love to hear her announcement about the tea.
Okay, hi everyone. Our tea is going to be this Saturday, the 13th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And so we found a event space that kind of lets you have a conference from the comfort of your own home. And so we're really excited about that. We have a keynote speaker. Her name is Parthia Hill, and we have breakout sessions that speak to our theme of how to stay right side up when everything around you is upside down, which is awesome during this COVID time frame, and it's very timely, and we're really excited about that. And Claire, when you were talking about some of the businesses, we are really excited. We have about 14 vendors. They're all Black owned and Black women, which is really awesome. And so we're really excited about that vendor expo portion of our conference. And 3 of the young ladies, I have a 12-year-old, she does nails, which is pretty awesome. And then I have 2 other young ladies who are in high school. And so it's really awesome to see this young entrepreneurship just starting out and in the community. So Claire, it will be awesome to connect with you, just to be able to give them some more resources as far as in the community. And so if you're able to join, I will put the information in the chat, and you're more than welcome to sign up, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday if you can join us.
Absolutely, I'll be there. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thanks again, Paris.
Absolutely. So let's hear about chili and cheesecake. And, you know, as I put in the newsletter this week, like, you're putting the chili back in chili this week. Rebecca or Kayla, you want to tell us a little bit about what Eastside Elders is up to?
Sure. Kayla, do you want to talk, or do you
Sure. Pre-orders actually ended on the 4th, so if you didn't order, you missed out. Yeah, the fundraiser is Friday, but it is only for pre-orders, so if you didn't do it, you are out of chili luck.
How did pre-orders go, Kayla? Did you get overwhelmed, I hope?
Yeah, it was great. Everyone was excited about cheesecake, which is good. So we're looking forward to our next fundraiser, which is going to be, we're going to be selling some handmade cedar planters, the stand-up kind, so really accessible, and gardening gift cards from Curtin. So stay tuned. We'll be pushing that soon.
Great. I'll look for it. Go ahead and submit it right to the event calendar like you did last time. It was working terrific. I want to make an announcement about the Sane Foundation, and then Chelsea's got an announcement, and yes, we do have time. So the Sane Foundation has their Gala for Goals coming up on February 20th, and ISABA has a virtual table. So if you're interested in being a part of the Sane Foundation's gala this year and seeing what they're going to do in this virtual space, please let me know. Just send me an email or put your interest in the chat, and I'll pick that up and we'll see what we can do. They are doing some pickups for meals. So, you know, like we've got this opportunity to kind of see how they're taking this usually gigantically profile, this big profile event from the convention center into the virtual space. And they've invited us to be there as their East Side allies. So I'm excited to host a table again this year. So yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. Chelsea Fye, Visit St. Paul, tell us more.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to give an update on a project that's still developing and just kind of loop this group in to kind of tag along with the conversation of supporting BIPOC entrepreneurs. We're working very closely with the Visit St. Paul's working very closely with the city on a project to support restaurants. So there's going to be a very large marketing campaign that's being developed now, and it's going to launch on February 22nd. To make for residents and locals and people just outside of the city to make a commitment to support takeout. And so when that comes, I will have you all sign up. You'll receive weekly emails inspiring you to go get takeout. And then we are going, every person that signs this pledge will be entered to win a gift card from a local restaurant. And so we'll be purchasing a very large quantity of gift cards from restaurants all over the city. And we're going to be working with our council people to put that together as well. So please stay tuned. And I hope you sign the pledge.
Thanks, Chelsea. And make sure that we see that on all of our, you know, ISABA channels too, so we can get the word out. And, you know, my priority is to make sure there are a ton of East Side businesses that you're buying those gift cards from. So if you, and you don't need contacts from me, but if you need contacts from me, you know, let me know.
Yeah, we're working with the, hoping to work with the council people to get those lists put together, but there's going to be, you know, between 60 and 70 restaurants we'll be purchasing gift cards from across the city. So
totally wonderful. That's great. Thanks, Chelsea. Other announcements or final announcements? That was my son breezing by. If you missed him, you missed him. He's invisible. Anyway, okay. So yeah, final announcements, or anyone else want to say anything for the good of the cause? Oh, there's Janet. Hi, Janet. Hey, Janet Golden. I thought Rebecca was at home. Maybe she is at home. No, she said, oh,
I'm making the chili for tomorrow.
It just goes to show executive directors, you know, they're really
other duties as required.
All right, that's fantastic. Okay, thank you all for such a fantastic show today. Thanks for being on. I want to thank our special guest, Claire Thomas from ESNDC. Thanks so much, Claire, for sharing your project and for talking to us about ways we can help support it and be a part. And for everybody else who jumped in, this has been terrific. Rick, we didn't get to hear about how things are going at Ramsey County. We're going to draw you in for an update next week if you're available, Rick. And we'll just keep it going. Thank you, everybody, and look forward to seeing you out there for Chile, out there for the Women's Conference, and out there for the Sane Foundation. If you're interested, let me know. Okay. Have a good week, everyone.